My name is Emily Gibson, and I'm a junior in the Randall Research Scholars Program studying Human Development and Family Studies. I've been conducting research with Dr. Deborah Casper in the Human Development and Family Studies Department to investigate bystander intervention methods and feelings in situations of potential intimate partner violence or sexual assault. It's reported that 1/5 of college students will experience sexual assault during their time on a college campus, and it's reported that an estimated 75% know their attacker. Additionally, 43% of college-age women experience some form of dating violence, the most common of which are sexual abuse, physical abuse, and controlling behaviors. Considering the prevalence of sexual assault and intimate partner violence on college campuses, this study is designed to gain a further understanding of bystander behavior on college campuses in these situations, in these precarious situations. The present study looked specifically at what do bystanders do when they witness these events, when they intervene in these events, and how intervening impacts them, and how they feel about their intervention. Previous studies have looked at the former two research goals. This study was collected in two data sets, one in the fall of 2015 and one in the spring of 2016, for a total of 585 students. They came from the Psychology 101 research pool. The gender breakdown was about 38% male to 62% female. The modal age was 19, and the race breakdown was 85% white, 10% Black, and 5% of another race. The data was collected using a quadrix form that consisted of two parts. First, a brief demographic form from which the previous information came, and then a series of questions about witnessing and intervening in 19 precarious, risky situations. These 19 situations came from Banyard et al.'s publication, and we focused on the three that were situations of potential sexual assault or intimate partner violence, which were, I saw someone grabbing or pushing their boy or girlfriend, I saw someone taking a very intoxicated person up to their room, and I saw a man talking to a female and she looked uncomfortable. The data analysis was where I joined this project, since the data had already been collected before I even started college. I started with thematic coding, which is a qualitative data analysis method that we used for the qualitative narrative response part of our data collection. This was followed by this semester's work in joint display analysis, which is an integration of qualitative and quantitative data that allows for meta inferences and further insight into our research. The 5 Ds of sexual assault prevention is the thematic codes that we use for the qualitative and narrative responses. I'm just going to briefly run through the 5 types. This came from Banyard et al.'s publication as well. There's direct, which involves directly addressing with either the perpetrator, victim, or both parties. Distract, which involves indirectly confronting the perpetrator and maybe introducing a new conversation topic or making up a lie about going to the bathroom or such. Then there's distance, which involves physically distancing the victim and the perpetrator. Delegate, which involves seeking help from a third party. And diffuse, which is actions to specifically calm down the situation. One interesting part about our research is that the research that this coding system came from, Banyard et al.'s publication, only asked their participants with hypothetical risky situations. So we are the first to apply this to real life situations. Our second data analysis was joint display analysis, which allows for the integration of qualitative and quantitative. You can see on the left we have the quantitative responses about whether or not someone intervened, how they felt about the response as coded quantitatively, and then also included qualitative responses to the prompts, such as direct and then showing one of the interventions, a model intervention. This allows for us to simply yet powerfully interpret and display our vast assortment of data for our soon-to-be published research. Moving on to the research, approximately 30 to 40% of individuals witnessed one of these three situations. However, less than 42% actually intervened of those that witnessed. The number is actually shockingly low for I saw someone grabbing or pushing their boy or girlfriend. Of the people who didn't intervene, you could see that around 4 to 6% felt completely unprepared to intervene. On the other hand, individuals who did intervene generally felt prepared, either somewhat or completely prepared, except for in the situation of I saw a man talking to a female and she looked uncomfortable. About 6% of those who intervened reported feeling not at all prepared to intervene, even though they did. This lets us know that preparedness is not the only factor that is involved in whether or not someone chooses to intervene, and that we need to keep looking to understand better why people do not intervene. In terms of the intervention methods that we use thematic coding to get the results for, you can see that for 2 of the situations, direct intervention was the most common strategy. Those were also the most kind of physical and confrontational situations that we had. And the third situation actually had distract as the most common intervention. Additionally, for the ones that were combination interventions, which means it involved 2 or more of these 5 intervention strategies, one interesting thing that we found was it was the most common intervention combined with distance, which suggests that distance may be a secondary or additional strategy that some people use when they are trying to intervene in a situation. Also, this semester, we specifically looked at the feelings people had about their intervention. As you can tell, people felt overwhelmingly positive when they did intervene. The numbers are higher than 70%, whereas when individuals did not intervene, they generally felt neutral or even negative about their decision not to intervene. This lets us know that we need to gather more data about why people choose not to intervene. There was very limited qualitative responses to why people chose not to intervene, although a few of them did suggest that maybe they didn't understand the problematic nature of the situation, or that they had been negatively peer pressured in a previous situation. There was one response that suggested that they previously spoke up about a similar situation. They were made fun of at this party, and that's the reason they chose not to intervene at this time. There are a few limitations to this study. Firstly, it's a convenient sample of college students at a large institution in the Southeast, and there was no real way of guaranteeing that every student had gone through the Haven training prior to this study. Another limitation was that the survey did not ask if the intervention was successful, that they actually broke up the situation in some form or fashion, and this is definitely an area for future research. In addition to intervention effectiveness, we'd also like to potentially create an app or an alert that allows us to gather real-time data about these kinds of situations and the interventions that people have for them. We also can look into whether the lack of follow-through with Haven or just bystander training in general during college has an impact, as students are only trained prior to entering college as incoming freshmen. Additionally, UA switched from Haven to a different bystander intervention training program called Alpha Point, so it'd be interesting to see if that has impacted results, as well as the general cultural shift towards understanding bystanders, the point of bystanders' roles in stopping these kinds of situations from happening. Thank you all for listening. I would like to give a special thanks to Dr. Casper for her incredible mentorship over the past 1.5 years, and I will now take any questions.
Emily, could you elaborate just a bit on the purpose of adding the joint display analysis to your project, and if any new insights came from the addition of this analysis?
Yeah, so joint display analysis, not only does it provide us a really great way to publish our results, I mean, we have lots of quantitative and qualitative information that is equally important. And as you can see, this is actually one of our table or figures that is going to be published. One thing we did realize when we were looking into this is that the difference between people who felt positive, negative, and neutral, their qualitative results weren't hugely different. Some of the only differences that we found were that people who felt negative tended to have slightly more confrontational or physically involved responses. However, we also realized that this is the area of why people choose not to intervene is another area of interest in future direction for us.
So how does this research differ from other research in the field of bystander behavior?
So I believe we are the first to apply this Banyard et al.'s coding system and just their risky situations to real life situations, which is really cool. And additionally, no studies that I know of in terms of bystander behavior have used joint display analysis before for presenting their research. And this is a really powerful tool for integrating that mixture of qualitative and quantitative that is commonly used in bystander behavior research.
Any other questions from the crowd? Well, great job, Emily. This wonderful presentation, and congratulations on your forthcoming publication with this and we certainly hope that you'll continue this important research. Thank you and take care.
Thank you.